very welcome. I am Ahonu, and I want to welcome you to this Tarot for Beginners class with Aingeal Rose. Aingeal Rose has divided this Tarot for Beginners class into 6 weekly sessions. In this, the first session, she covers the Major Arcana, and you will see how, even after this first session, all attendees are reading a Major Arcana card with confidence and accuracy, even before this session is over. Many times, people undervalue or dismiss the value of the tarot. Here's what Aingeal Rose says about that. I was 18 years old when I first picked up a tarot deck. A tragedy in my life took me to my first psychic fair and my first reading. I was looking for answers about the tragedy I had just experienced. That tarot reader ended up being my first metaphysical teacher, who helped me on my new spiritual path. In studying the tarot, I soon realized it was much more than a fortune-telling device. It held keys to bridging the gap between my outer and inner world. Its reflections helped me understand what was working beneath the surface of situations, and it opened doors to spiritual states of consciousness. Reading others was a growth process for me spiritually. It had me deal with doubts and fears I had about being good enough or accurate. I soon experienced the joy of relating and connecting to clients, many of whom became friends. I also had to overcome the subconscious programming from religions that the tarot was evil, which took me 7 years to process. The tarot became my friend and guided me through many levels of initiation. Now, after 40 years of teaching the tarot, I want you to benefit like I have. In this beginner series of classes, I will share with you what I've learned through my 40 years of journeying with the cards on physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual levels. We'll go through each card, discuss its meaning and how it can play out in life. We will expand into the spiritual levels and see how mind and emotions influence our reality. We'll practice together with various card layouts so you can see how to answer the questions. You will learn the position and their meanings and how they present a story of information and understanding. This may sound complex at the outset, but with a little understanding, you will learn how to change situations in your life for your benefit and the benefit of others. I will also show you how to read the cards intuitively without having to memorize the meanings of each card. So, there you have it. Grab your pen and paper and let's begin your wonderful new experience of the magic of the tarot with Aingeal Rose.
This will be our guidebook along the way. Okay, so I started out with doing the question and answer thing in this book because there were a lot of questions people had asked. But what I'd like to do is just go through these questions and answers. And the way I'd like to do it is if one person could read one question and answer, and then the next person read the next, and then I'll read one, and then we'll go down the line. And if you have any questions on any of these questions, just stop me, okay?
Okay.
Okay, so Barb, you want to start then with the first question? How do I pick a deck?
Hold on, but put my glasses on.
Okay, it's page 8. It's page 8 in your book. Okay.
All right, the question is, how do I pick a deck? The Rider-Waite deck is the most frequently used deck for beginners because its symbolism is the easiest and most clear to read. However, I recommend picking a deck that talks to you when you look at the pictures. This means that you start to feel things and receive impressions or ideas as soon as you look at the images on the cards. The reason this is desirable is because the tarot is designed to stimulate the connection between your intuitive self and your conscious mind. You want to choose the deck that provides this for you.
Thank you. Okay. Marcia, the next one, do you have it up?
Okay. How do I treat my deck? I always keep my cards in a wooden box or a cloth bag. Some people like to wrap their cards in silk or satin. The common theme here is to keep them covered when not in use. This is because the cards emit vibrations and also absorb energies from the environment they're in. You want to keep your deck as clear and clean as possible when you're doing a reading.
Okay, and I'll read the next one. How do I clear my deck? You can clear a tarot deck simply by shuffling. I'm sorry, my eyes are just so bad these days. I have a very hard time reading this. You can clear a deck simply by shuffling them with the focused intention to clear them. Other ways is you can basically lay them out in the sun, if you'd like. Okay, or burn some sage around them, or some people like to diffuse a high-frequency essential oil. You can always clear them with music as well. If you have some really beautiful music, you can put them in there. A lot of times I just spread my deck out in the sun and let it sit there for a while. But you can use incense and any of those things that are just a little bit high-frequency stuff. You can also just hold them to your heart and make the intention to clear them. Okay, so go ahead, Barbara.
What is the querent?
A querent, yes.
Mm-hmm. A querent is the person who the reading is for. In other words, the one who is asking the question in the reading. Of course, that can be yourself if it is you that needs the answers.
How many times do I shuffle the cards for a reading? As many times as you want. You will feel when you have shuffled enough. It may be a few times or many times. Trust yourself with this. There's no right or wrong way to do it.
Right.
Gail, if you're having trouble reading, we can do the reading.
Okay, I'll let you go, Barb.
Okay. Question. When I am doing a reading for a client, should I shuffle the cards for them or let them shuffle? You can do it either way. I like to let my clients shuffle while they are focusing on their concerns because I believe you get a more accurate reading if your client's energy goes into the cards. However, there are readers who prefer to be the one shuffling for their client. It is strictly up to you which way you want to do it. As you progress, you may want to have several decks, each for different purposes. I use 3 decks, for example. I have one that is just to read clients, and one for my personal use, and one for teaching. And could I say here that I own about 4 or 5 different types. Some are angelic readings, some have animals on them, some are angelic cards, and the pictures are so pretty. I really like just to look at them.
Yeah, I know. There's a lot of decks out there that are like that. They're not necessarily tarot decks, though. Some are, but a lot aren't. Like there would be, there's decks for different things, but they're not really set up exactly like the tarot. But they work just as well if you want to use them. But they're more counseling cards or guidance cards.
Well, actually, these cards, they have the explanation written right on them.
Oh, they
so
do.
It isn't something like you have to memorize. So they're easy.
I got you. I know what you're talking about. Okay, Marcia, go ahead.
Okay. How do I pull the cards from the deck? You can pull cards from anywhere in the deck. Some people pull all their cards from the top, some pull from the middle, and other pulls from random places in the deck. All are fine to do.
There are people also who, like when they're shuffling the cards, a card will fall out on the floor, and they'll pick that up thinking that, well, that's a sign that I should use that card. I'm not necessarily of that belief. I mean, you can be if you want to set it up that way with your subconscious, that if one falls out, you're going to choose it. But a lot of times I just put that back in the deck and keep shuffling. Okay?
Yeah.
Especially if I don't like it.
Get rid of that.
No, not really. Not really. I just don't happen to fall for the superstition that if it falls out, it's meant to be,
Yeah, I have seen that happen, and I wondered about that. So
Yeah.
it's a choice. Okay, do I pull the cards all upright or upright and reversed? You can do it either way, but whichever way you choose, give that message to your subconscious mind before you begin shuffling. You will then have an accurate reading either way.
I have a hard time getting the meaning from all the cards. How do they all go together? It's important to keep in mind the position of the cards and what that position is representing. Also, keep in mind your client's questions as you are examining the cards. If you do these three things, you will see that a spread becomes like a story, and each position builds on the one behind it, like steps. There are times, however, when the cards do not seem to answer your client's question. In these cases, see what the spread is addressing and go from there. Sometimes a person's higher self has something more important to address first.
You'll see more of that once we start doing some layouts. Okay.
Exercise with color, number, and symbol. This exercise will develop your intuition to where you will not even need to remember the card's official meanings.
Aren't all reverse cards negative? No. Some cards are better in their reverse positions. You have a choice when using the tarot and doing a spread to pull the cards either solely upright or upright and reversed. Many users of the tarot like to let the cards fall as they may, while others prefer to turn all the cards upright. I have personally done it both ways, but now I pull them all upright. There is no right way or wrong way to do it. What I do suggest, however, is to decide ahead of time which way you are going to lay your spread out. This will give the message to your subconscious mind and will assure you of an accurate answer to your query or focus. To accommodate both schools of thought, I have provided this book, both upright and reversed of each card, giving you the option to intuit meanings from both.
Are tarot cards evil? The tarot is a tool for self-discovery, and this is not to underestimate their powerful symbolism. They were branded evil by the power structure of the churches to have people turn their power over to the church authorities. Used correctly, the tarot will bring forth enlightenment, refinement of character, and wisdom. However, do not use the tarot to invade someone else's privacy. That is a misuse of it.
It's a very tempting thing to do, too.
Is it important to psychically protect yourself while reading the cards? Yes, it is crucial to protect yourself at all times, not only while you are doing a reading. We are living in fast-changing times, and people's attitudes about the tarot simply reflect that huge shift in the growth of awareness around psychic development. I mean, it is both very good and getting progressively very bad. Looking back over my 35 years of metaphysical teaching and consciously staying at the cutting edge of psychic and spiritual developments, I have found the best protection is the Maharic Shield. You can find it on the Azurite website, and there it is. Search for the Maharic Shield. I encourage you to practice this protection every day, but especially when you engage with a client for a reading.
Now, this was printed a while ago, so I'm not sure that this information is current. I'll have to check on it for you, okay? Okay. Any questions on those so far?
No.
Marcia, no?
No, I'm just saying I'm just absorbing because it's so new. So I'm concentrating quite hard.
Yeah, and in fact, this question about tarot cards being evil. I mean, when I first started learning the tarot, I'm not kidding. I used to have Jehovah's Witnesses knock on my door repeatedly, no matter where I moved, and they would always just have that little pamphlet of theirs, and it'd always be open to the page about the tarot cards being evil, right? So I go back in my house and I say to myself, well, are they evil? Because I haven't really experienced them that way. But it actually took me 7 years to resolve that inside myself. I mean, that's how deep the programming was about this. But now I don't have any fear of that. I mean, to me, there's a lot of history in these cards as well, that a lot of that history wasn't known to people, and they kept it all under the underground. So I think there were ulterior motives as to why they fed that to people. But of course, if you do not use them correctly, you can be guided by some not so nice beings when you're doing this. Okay. And how you know really is anything that is mean or derogatory or negative toward anybody or tells people what to do, you know you don't have the correct energy going on. Okay. I went to a psychic fair one time in Chicago, and I was taking a break because there were a lot of people in the room. I was taking a break, so I went out in the hallway, and I was sitting on this bench, and this girl comes out, and she's sobbing her eyes out, you know? So I went over to her, and I asked her what was wrong, and apparently the tarot reader she went to told her that she was a whore and a horrible person, and the poor thing was beside herself, you know?
Oh, my God.
Yeah, so that's what I would call definitely a misuse of using these cards. Okay, you never say something like that to a person.
No.
Okay,
Even if it's true.
yeah, it probably was true. She probably was a little bit promiscuous, but still, you wouldn't use those words. You wouldn't tell that to somebody.
Yeah.
And hey, you don't want anybody leaving your table devastated, you know?
No.
Okay, so next thing we're going to do is we're going to discuss the Major Arcana. Now, with your deck, what I would like you to do, the major cards look like that. See, they begin with the Fool, and how you can tell a major card is there's a Roman numeral at the top, and there's something written on the bottom, at least with this deck, right? So you see this one says the Fool. The next one is called the Magician. It's number 1. So if you could go through your decks and sort out if you guys have a new deck, then you might have all these in order anyway. Okay, but if you don't have them in order, they're numbered 0 to 21. The last card is the World card. Okay. So if you can sort those out in order from 0.
You want us to do that now?
Yeah, sort them out in your deck so you can follow along with me as we go through these. So I'll give you a minute to do that. But really, any card that has a Roman numeral on the top and writing on the bottom is a major card. How are you guys doing?
How many are there meant to be, did you say?
21. From 0 to 21. 22 altogether, Marcia.
Okay.
Counting the 0.
I can't find 19 and 20.
19 would be a picture of the sun.
I just discovered I'm not very good at Roman numerals, but go ahead. Hang on. Go on.
So, yeah, 19 is the sun card, and 20 is the judgment card. There's the sun, here's judgment.
Okay, yeah, I'm using a different deck.
Which deck are you using?
The Wild Unknown.
I don't know that one.
It's beautiful.
Okay, well, Marcia, could you read that little paragraph about the Major Arcana on page 11?
The major cards are numbered 0 to 21. They indicate stages of personal development, personality, and character refinement, virtues, lessons, realizations, warnings, advice, historical information, energy moving beneath everyday situations, alchemical forces at work, spiritual development, interdimensional information, and cosmic cycles. Okay, that's a lot.
That is a lot, but you'll see how they play out once we start playing with the cards.
In this section, I list all the cards in ascending numeric order. For each one, I explain the meaning of the card at the mundane level and the spiritual level. I list out the lessons of each card, the misuse of the energy of the card, and finally, I explain the meaning of the number itself in the context of the card.
Okay, so as an example, let's just go through the Fool. Again, on my deck, it looks like this. Go ahead and read the mundane level, the mundane being just the basic earthy perspective.
Okay. New beginnings, starting out on a journey, taking risks, innocence or naivety, new adventures, freedom, purity, protection, idealism, trust, simplicity, a carefree attitude.
Okay, go ahead and read the spiritual.
Spiritual, beginning or completing a spiritual journey, macabre science, union with all, perfection, superconsciousness, spiritual purity, rising above duality to union.
Right.
Less.
Oh, yeah, go ahead with the lesson of the card.
Being at the crossroads where the choice that is made is very important as to the future direction. Learning to trust one's spiritual life, the purification of one's intentions and desires.
Right.
Misuse. Foolish
What?
behavior, immaturity, look before you leap, watch where you're going, taking unnecessary risks, a need to be more careful in one's decisions and behaviors, recklessness. And the number is 0 is the beginning and the end, where all things originate, and to where they return to union.
Okay, so with these major cards, especially with this fool card, because the major cards can be used by themselves just as a spiritual journey, because from 0 to 21 is really the whole road up the mountain to spirituality, up to ascension. And when I talk about ascension, I'm talking about ascension in consciousness. So that's why the spiritual aspect of the fool is super consciousness, that's like the highest you can go on the earthly plane. But you can use these cards just to meditate, and I'll show you if we have time to go through them all today, which I hope we do. We'll pull one card to indicate the level of your consciousness at the moment, and you can see how when you look at that card which one it is and what it's going to tell you, that you can kind of gauge where you are spiritually. But think of the major cards really as a spiritual path in and of themselves, even if you never use them to do a reading with. Okay, so that's why this fool, he's the beginning of when you're starting out on a path. That's why he's kind of naive and foolish and innocent, really. And you got this little white dog at his feet who's there to protect him and warn him that he's about to walk off a cliff. Okay, so that's anything from just being totally naive to somebody who's just reckless and takes risks and isn't really accountable for what they're doing. But then when you move to a spiritual level, he's kind of above the world, and the world doesn't affect him anymore. He's kind of gone beyond all that into a higher state. So that's why he's considered the beginning and the end. Okay. Thank you. Okay, let's go to card 1. Turn the page, the Magician. Okay, so Barb, will you continue with the Magician?
I will. Number 1, the Magician. Mundane. The conscious mind. Independence. Willpower. Focused attention. Deliberate action. Choice. Decisions. Personal power. Concentration. The right direction. Spiritual meaning. Principle of as above, so below, or like attracts like. Becoming a conscious creator, using the forces of nature to manifest responsibly and for the good of all. Using your will to affect positive growth and change in your life or environment. Lesson. Taking responsibility for one's life, decisions, focusing attention to achieve a goal, using power wisely, respecting all life and free will choice, using your mind and heart or will and passion to promote life and positive creativity, honoring and respecting the natural world. Misuse. Using your will or personal power over others, using manifesting for selfish purposes that manipulate others, using the forces of nature for spells, curses, etc. The number 1 can mean the beginning of something new, new energy or inspiration. Initial stages or taking the initiative to begin or to change, an onrush of energy that is available for use. You know, I never thought much about this negative thing here, but as above, so below, that could have a very bad meaning for some people, couldn't it, if it was next to a negative card?
Oh, you got to look at the whole picture of a spread, you know, and we'll do that as we go on, because
Okay.
that's what I meant about putting a story together. You know, you have to kind of look at
Yeah.
all the positions, what the person is wanting to know, and how they're playing out. Okay. But the thing with the magician is, you'll see as we go along, I always used to, when people come in person and I teach this class, I divide the majors into 3 rows of 7. And I explain how the first 7 cards of the Major Arcana basically deal with the development of your ego personality. Okay. So like the magicians, we start out with the fool, who's just young and naive. Then we've got the magician, this is your conscious mind. This is what you're aware of consciously. Okay. And then when you go to the high priestess, number 2, this is your subconscious mind. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Claire, do you want to read one? Are you ready to read one?
Yes, I already on the page. The high priest,
High
right?
priestess, yes.
Yeah, high priestess. Yeah, my turn. Okay. Mundane, femininity, secrets, virgins or virginity, barren, non-activity, passivity, truth, not revealed, wait before you act, things germinating but not yet in form, have faith in your own feelings, look deeper or beneath the surface of things, fertility problems, spiritual, the subconscious mind, esoteric information, deep intuition or psychic abilities developed or developing, secret societies, the feminine principle as a source of a creative power, feminine goddesses such as the Virgin Mary, Isis, Guan Yin, Shakti, Aphrodite, Danu, and Pele, to name a few. Listen, learning to get close to your own feelings, trusting your intuition, learning about your feminine power and using it in a balanced way, learning about the subconscious mind and how to direct it, researching esoteric knowledge, misuse, remaining too passive, or forcing something into being which needs time to unfold, using feminine power to dominate or manipulate, remaining quiet or not following your intuition when you know you should, timidity, keeping secrets that should be revealed. The number 2 indicates a duality, positive and negative forces as a part of creation, inner and outer, feminine versus masculine, light versus dark, wisdom versus ignorance, etc. Yep.
Okay. Any questions on that, anybody? So like if it comes to somebody who's trying to get pregnant, for example, and you pull the high priestess, what it really says is they have some infertility issues. Okay. So that can let you know they have stuff going on underneath the surface that's preventing them, because it is a card of a virgin. Okay. And really anybody who might be, another whole way is if somebody comes to you and says, you know, I want to know if my husband's cheating on me, for example, right? And you pull the high priestess, it's basically somebody who's keeping secrets. So, I mean, like you'll see how it sounds confusing with all these definitions, but once we start using them and you see what the spreads are like and what the questions are, you'll see which meaning is appropriate that we're describing. Okay? Got that, everybody?
Yes.
Okay. Empress number 3. Marcia?
Yes. Sorry. Okay. Mundane. Fertility, pregnancy, mothers or motherhood. Love, things coming to fruition. Nurturing, home, beauty, lush environment, growth, prosperity. Having needs fulfilled. All is good, rewards are near.
So
Spiritual.
again, just a second, with the same question, if somebody comes to you and they want to know if they're going to get pregnant, and you pull the Empress, that's a yes, because
Yes.
she's a card of fertility. Also, in the progression, Magician is conscious mind, High Priestess is subconscious, Empress is your mother. That's another aspect. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Go ahead. Sorry.
Spiritual. Nature, the divine mother goddess, Mother Earth, the influence of Venus. Woman as a creative force. Love is the driving force beneath all creation. Lesson. The correct use of nurturing and mothering, unresolved mother issues, abundance, giving and receiving, acceptance. Misuse. Over-mothering, overbearing, over-nurturing, irresponsible pregnancy, giving too much, need to learn to receive, denying oneself at the expense of others, shame which is causing self-reproach, not pregnant. Number. The number 3 signifies things coming together. Success, culmination, fertility, abundance, celebration.
Right. So just like you saw with the Magician, he's kind of the manifester, right? He's the conscious manifester. And then when you pull the High Priestess, it's basically saying, okay, the stuff's gone in your subconscious, but it's not yet in form. And then when you pull the Empress, this is the first you'll see about, your desires becoming in your outer reality. So the Empress starts to be a card where manifestation is taking form. That's why it's called the pregnancy card as well. Okay. All right. So
what's it called? What did you say it was called?
The pregnancy card.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Don't want that one.
Okay. So number 4, before you start reading it, Barb, number 4 is your father. Okay. It's your father. It's your father, and it's all authority figures, actually. Okay. So you can see how we got this progression, right, of becoming conscious. Okay, and now we got mom, then we got dad. Okay, and when we get to 5, we've got the church, just to give you a hint. Okay, but go ahead, let's read number 4.
Mundane, father or fatherhood, boss, structure, discipline, order, routine, ego, ruler, dominance, material world, control, power, balance, and authority over your own world, respect. Spiritual, divine order, spiritual ruler, dominion over earthly matters, correct use of power, self-authority. Lesson. The correct use of power, using the ego in service to the higher self as opposed to the lower self. Being a force for good rather than the ego. Overcoming abusive patterns. Being able to see other points of view. Misuse, abuse of power or force, domination, possessiveness, rigidity, overinflated ego, dogmatic set in ways, abusive father, boss, religious person, or other authority figure using anger to bully others. Number 4 is solid, stable, rigid, set, has form, order, structure, discipline, and is responsible and secure. I always saw that when something more, or never as, not so much as misuse, but as authority, stern for the father.
It is. It's a strict controlling authority figure is really what it is when it's not being used correctly. But on the positive side, the emperor can be a great father and somebody who's responsible and who teaches somebody how to be their own authority. Okay, so again, it depends on what you're pulling and what the questions are.
Right.
Okay, so Clear. Here we go. The Hierophant, number 5. Like I say, he's basically the church. He's religious doctrine. That's what he is. Okay. On the personal level, he's your higher self. Okay. Okay, go ahead.
My turn?
Your turn. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. The how do
Hero.
a hero. Okay. Mundane, church, traditions, marriage, religion, dogma, belief systems, stubbornness, outside appearance is important. Spiritual, higher self, adept, higher guide, esoteric knowledge, meditation, priesthood, ministry, go within, divine truth, listen, turning within for truth, allowing others to have their faith and beliefs without judgment, respecting tradition while being able to become reliant on your own inner self. Misuse, stuck in old belief structures or dogmas, too preachy, controlling others through religions, tradition, or dogma, relying on outside authorities rather than going within to your own internal guidance. The number 5 is a catalyst to a higher growth, change, and movement. That's all.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you. Everybody got that?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Okay, so now we're going to the lovers. Okay, so when you think of, here we are going up the path, and this is when people start getting their hormones. Okay, on the regular level. So we went through self, we went through mom, we went through dad, we went through the church. Now we're looking at sexuality. Okay.
Right. The lovers. Mundane. Relationships, lovers, sexuality, choices, male and female issues, romance, unions, love affairs, sacred versus profane love, two paths, choose with integrity, seek spiritual values carefully. Spiritual, sacred union of male and female, divine love, divine relationships, sacred sex, inner marriage of male and female aspects within oneself, anima and animus. Lesson, all relationship issues, respecting men and women, male and female principles, equality, commitment, using sex appropriately, loyalty, discrimination. Misuse, being unfaithful, using sex inappropriately, focusing only on bodily pleasures, disrespecting men or women, not honoring the equality of the masculine and feminine principles in creation and within oneself. Number. The number 6 has to do with balance, victory, home, family, success, and harmony.
Great. Okay, so the next card, number 7, that would be considered the end of what I call the first row, or the mundane, because this is somebody who's developed an ego. And it's often said, in order to move further on a spiritual path, you have to have a healthy ego before you can start undoing it. So this is what this is, okay?
Mundane. Movement, journey, travel, physical health, car issues, decisions, self-control, tension between two different directions, self-discipline, honor or reward is due, victory, self-esteem, healthy ego, and personality, behaving responsibly. Spiritual, the Merkaba vehicle, and the divine chariot, wheels within wheels, the light and dark within oneself, wisdom. Lesson, balancing the light and dark within the personality, self-control, respect of the body as a temple and vehicle, patience, letting go of the past. Misuse, selfishness, playing both sides of a situation for personal gain. Health issues, not moving forward by not making a decision. Self-control issues, lack of self-esteem, recklessness in any area of life. Number 7. The number 7 is about victory, success, spiritual awareness, beginning, divine help and inspiration, a degree of enlightenment, and challenges overcome.
Yeah, they said if you read any kind of spiritual book, Barb, they say that your physical body connects to your card.
Yeah.
Okay. So if stuff goes wrong with your car, then they're kind of telling you to take a look at your body and see what's going on.
Well, I dream of a car going fast and the lights go out.
Okay.
I think my lights have gone out.
I was thinking, well, maybe it's telling you you're going too fast about something.
Yeah.
Take your time.
Okay.
All right, the number strength. Now we'd be on the what I call the middle level, where you start to become aware spiritually. Okay, and you start to incorporate spiritual virtues. And here's the strength card at number 8. Okay, so Marcia, I think you're next.
Strength, mundane. Strength, perseverance, healing, getting the help you need, comfort, subduing egoist tendencies, assurance, peace, nurturing, use love, patience, and gentleness, remove blocks. Spiritual, faith, patience, love over fear, kindness, divine comfort, strength and protection, purification of the instinctual self. Lesson, acknowledging the instinctual nature, but not allowing it to run your life. Love versus ego. Use gentleness, not force or aggression. Kindness rather than judgment. Having the ego, instinctual, animal nature in service to the heart. Misuse. Cruelty, ego domination, selfishness, heartlessness, weakness, giving up, allowing the body's desires to run the show. Impatience, judgment. Number. The number 8 has to do with power, executive force, success, and expertise.
Consider this the first card that starts to incorporate the higher nature over the lower nature, because that lion's a symbol of the lower instinctual nature of a human. So from there, this is the job that you have after you develop a healthy ego, is now you have to learn that love is the most powerful force, and it's definitely more powerful than the ego. Okay, but that ego can cause a lot of problems in our lives. So in a way, this is a card of a bit of a purification of the ego, or learning that it's to be in service to you, not the other way around. Okay.
Hey, I just had a light bulb thing here. I always liked this card.
Right.
I like the idea of the lady prying. In some places, the lion's mouth is rather vicious, and she's prying that open. But I got when you said this is love conquering evil, more or less, and I had never seen that before. I saw it more as strength, but not spiritual strength.
Right. And it's the fact that she's opening that mouth without any fear of being bitten.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
Can I ask?
Go ahead.
My cards are different.
Right.
So 8 is actually the Justice card.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes they reverse them. So it's okay. Just keep that in mind when we get to Justice, Marcia, that you just kind of have to know to switch the interpretations.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Some decks are made that way. Okay. 9 is the Hermit.
Yeah, Hermit.
Yeah.
Mundane.
This is kind of, we start to go within. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So the Hermit, mundane, self-reflection, inner contemplation, aloneness, retreat or retreat centers, healing, isolation. Hermit may show depression, spiritual, enlightenment, guide or teacher. For others, monk, sage. Ask and you shall receive. Knock and the door will open. Divine counsel or counselor. Seeker seeker of truth, healer. Listen, balancing healthy retreat with withdrawal, service to others. Patient, experiment carefully, finding answers within. Misuse, self-imposed loneliness, too reclusive, not letting your light shine, withdrawal from society, inability or refusal to serve others, suicidal tendencies, self-pity. The number 9 concerns culminations, peaks, conclusions, endings, fulfillments, and gestation period. Yeah.
Okay, any questions on that one? And you'll know, by the way, if you're in a reading with somebody who is obviously depressed and you pull the Hermit, you're going to know that that's their lesson they're going through now, is having to overcome this depression. Okay. We'll do number 10, and then if you need a quick bathroom break, we'll take one, okay? Okay, so number 10, the Wheel of Fortune. This is where things start to move and change. And now we're getting into cycles, how cycles affect us. Okay, so Marcia.
Okay. Mundane. Change, movement, cycles, good or bad luck, new information coming in. The wheels of fate are turning. Rotation, ups and downs. Look up when down. Adapt to change. Look at new ideas. Spiritual. Cosmic cycles, destinies, divine knowledge. Change is a constant, world events. Lesson. Understanding and accepting change as part of life. Timing. How cycles affect us. Flowing with the ups and downs. Mastering your destiny. Misuse. Refusal to accept change. Allowing fate only to determine your destiny. Resistance to growth and forward movement. Number. The number 10 is accumulation, conclusion, attainment, increase, either positive or negative. New beginnings after a cycle.
So now we're looking at number 11, which is the Justice card. Now we're moving along our spiritual path, and now we're getting into karma. Okay, so everything that has to do with karma is in this card. So go ahead, Barb.
Mundane, fair decisions, balanced judgment, court cases or issues with the law, balance, what you sow you will reap, judges, lawyers, lesson learned, right decision. Spiritual, karmic debts, past life issues, the law of cause and effect. Lesson, balancing judgment with mercy. Honesty, decisions, balancing karma and fairness. Misuse, judging others, decision not favorable. Merciless, blaming others, lack of forgiveness. Unbalanced in some way, things not reconciled, unfairness to others. The number 11 is about duality, denotes issues are of spiritual importance. Balance, proportion, weighing sides, decisions important, and two ways of looking at something.
Great. Okay, number 12, the Hangman. Now, when we get into the Hangman, we're starting to consider our perceptions, the way we see things. Okay?
Okay, it's my turn, I think.
Yeah.
The hanged man. Okay. Mundane. Feeling of or being hung up temporarily. New decisions. Stagnation in a situation. Timing not right. Need to wait. Spiritual. Surrendering to your higher will. Lifting the veil to a higher sight. The martyr, yeah. Listen, selfless service, enlightenment gained by reversing the way you see the world, balancing sacrifice with self-love. Misuse, refusal to see something differently. matter complex, stubbornness, which causes stagnation or lack of progress or growth, playing the victim for selfish purpose. The number 12 is about gearing up to a change that has much potential for growth, getting ready, preparing the way, and lay the groundwork for a new opportunity or path.
Okay, Marcia, 13. So this is when we now have to go through a really deep spiritual transformation. So it does not mean physical death, this card. It looks like it does, but it doesn't. Okay?
Right. Mundane. Making a sudden change, new life entirely, no going back, moving forward despite obstacles. It can indicate physical death in rare circumstances or instances. Spiritual. Release of old belief systems and ways of doing things. Inner and outer purification. Shifting from outward authorities to your own inner authority. Lesson. Letting go of the past. Ability to flow with major change. Transforming. Strength to accept a new life. Misuse. Refusing to move forward or change. Resistance to what is happening in one's life. Letting outer influences tell you what to do and ignoring your own inner urges to grow and move forward. Number. The number 13 is about a pivotal moment or time pointing to major turning points in one's life. These moments can be life-changing and indicate periods of tremendous growth and opportunity.
Okay, we got 14. Barbie, this is your higher self. Okay?
Temperance, mundane, blending, balancing extremes, trying new ideas and things, but keeping security. Maintain balance while you plan. Don't overdo it. Consider carefully what is needed to achieve your goal and take the appropriate steps. Be patient and look at all aspects. You have divine guidance. Spiritual, twin flames, relationships, inner alchemy, androgyny, union of opposites, higher self, guardian angel. Lesson, tempering aspects of oneself to achieve a high goal. Moderation, not going to extremes. Keeping your inner calm and observing carefully before taking action. Misuse, not being watchful or careful in a situation or behavior. Loss of temper, going to extremes, acting rashly, being out of control, not listening to sound advice. The number 14 has to do with coming to a state of equilibrium after a major change, a period of great accomplishment and or opportunity.
This really is when all of our stuff starts to come to the surface. Okay?
Okay, the devil. Mundane, temptations, limitations, submission, fears, self-imposed restrictions, possible nervous breakdown, repressed energies, inhibition, negative energies influencing someone's life or a situation in life. Spiritual, pain, honoring the power in nature, the right use of ritual and power for the good of. Listen, overcoming deep-seated fears which limit or repress, freeing oneself from self-imposed restrictions or situations, overcoming abuse, the realization that we imprison ourselves by our own beliefs and fears, taking back our personal power, misuse, black magic, perverted sexuality, lack of conscience or heart, domination over others, curses, spells, to materialistic, abuse in any form, addictions, limiting anyone's freedoms, obsession with the body, selfishness, possessions. Number 15 is a precarious number in that it can bring forth other events and circumstances. It is time to be watchful and more self-aware, examine motive and the motives of others. It is an opening number, and it depends upon the mindfulness of those involved.
Well, I sure never would have figured spiritual with the devil in there. Whatever, the power for good and all, it didn't seem like it goes with it.
Well, it can show somebody where their own limitations are in their belief systems and where you get triggered. Because that energy only comes around when you're vulnerable, when you have fears. It'll increase your fears and show you where your fears are. So in other words, the big temptations of the devil is that its whole goal is to get you not to grow and to get you in fear of making any sort of positive changes in your life, or looking at where you might have where you're causing your own limitations, in other words. Okay?
I got it.
Okay. The Tower.
Yes. Upheavals which shake up existing comfort zones, causing change, shaking the foundations, lightning strikes, earthquakes, accidents, a wake-up call, an influx of electrical frequency causing or forcing change for positive or negative, rapid change, breakdown of permanent situations. Spiritual, sudden awakening, ego purification, cosmic events, earth changes. Lesson, keep growing and flow with the change, as refusal to do so will cause a buildup of resistance, which will inevitably lead to destruction or upheaval of some kind. You can avoid the turmoil if you flow with the needed change. Misuse, ignoring signs which warn of trouble or health problems if action isn't taken for improvement. Number, the number 16 indicates an accumulation or buildup of energy, which is coming to a head for positive or negative, depending on how it is used or dispersed.
I know people who have literally been struck by lightning with this card.
No.
I know a woman who was in her bed and refused to change in her life, and lightning came through her window and hit her.
Wow.
So it means that when it says, it can cause, of course, it can be any kind of devastation. It can be earthquakes, earth changes, lightning, accidents, anything like that. But it's usually when, so if you look at the devil card before that and you can consider the progression, right, that the devil messes with you and tries to keep you limited and make you fearful of any kind of change. And so then if you don't do anything, the Tower will come along and do it for you, basically. Okay? So it's not a bad card in that sense if you take it into consideration what it's trying to do. Okay? Okay, the Star. Now this is when all that starts to calm down. Okay?
Mundane, positive turn of events, healing of self, physical well-being, individuality, blending of opposites, nothing to hide, health, hope, promise, positive future, appreciating and nourishing the land and the environment. Spiritual, cosmic blessings, star energy which heals, spiritual guidance and protection, divine inspiration. Lesson, self-honesty, which leads to self-healing, being comfortable with your body, balancing the emotions with physical life and taking care of your health. Misuse, not taking care of oneself and body, lack of inspiration, poor health, not recovering as quickly as hoped, poor self-esteem, being out of balance or harmony with the earth, unwilling to be honest, which would promote healing, health, and positive growth. The number 17 has a highly positive energy, supportive of health, healing, and all things positive. It is a positive influence leading to new growth and renewal and setting the stage for further illumination.
Yeah, so you can see how if you've gone through all these prior things, especially the difficulties, and you come upon the star, basically now you've got this reprieve, you've got this positive energy coming toward you, this well earned. Okay, so it's actually a lovely card. I really love the card.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the moon.
Okay, mundane, cycles, timing, menstrual cycles, magnetism, hormone fluctuations, magnification of personal issues, resulting in an increase of emotional intensity for positive or negative. Allow intuition to guide you. Spiritual, illumination, increase in psychic abilities, higher understanding, perhaps of a cosmic nature, the shadow self. Lesson, emotional balance, what is real and what is illusion, learning to trust yourself and your intuition, understanding right timing and cosmic fluctuations, heeding warnings when they occur, self-reflection, misuse, emotional imbalance, reaction, deception, insanity, danger, disillusionment, ignoring warning or your own intuition. The number 18 is a number of testing, which should strengthen the emotional and psychic body. It can indicate a warning to watch these bodies for illusions or deception as energy fluctuations increase and decrease.
So you know how crazy people can get at the full moon, for example, right? It's because it brings all the water in your cells to the surface, the influence of the moon. So that's why it can cause a lot of crazy emotional states in people. So basically, this is a card about gaining emotional control over yourself. Okay? All right, the sun, Marcia, 19.
Mundane, freedom, warmth, joy, happiness, excellent for marriage, expansion, uplifting, success, vitality, renewal, openness, freedom of expression, good health, many blessings, growth of wealth and health. This card offsets other cards in the spread that may be negative. Spiritual, the divine inner child, regeneration, healing on every level, the navel and solar plexus chakras as seats for renewal. Lesson, healing the inner child, returning to joy and innocence in full consciousness, being open to receive. Misuse, using energy for solely selfish purposes, inhibitions, refusal to grow up, play and work not balanced. Ill health, navel and solar plexus chakras in need of attention. Number 19. 19 is a crescendo number filled with positive potential and protection. It is joyous and supportive of new endeavors with the energy behind it for success.
Okay. Maybe I should have had you read the judgment card, Marcia, that you couldn't find.
I found it now. It was stuck in the box.
Okay. Go ahead, Barbie.
Okay. 20, judgment, mundane. Truth revealed in a situation or relationship. Honesty, coming alive after a period of illness or stagnation. Decisions, awakening or new awareness. Being realistic, bouncing back from difficulty. Healing on many levels, hearing issues. Spiritual, resurrection of the body, forgiveness, truth revealed, divine announcements or declarations, healing with sound, clairaudience. Lesson, releasing judgments upon self or others. Forgiving the past, seeing and accepting truth, waking up to cosmic or world events. God is love. Death is not real. learning to listen and hear, misuse, judging and not forgiving others, denying truth, perpetuating fear dogmas, the belief in death, not listening. Number. The number 20 is the number of climax times 2. Key phrases would be, this is it, now's the time, seeing is believing, wake up, hear me.
Go ahead. The world.
Okay, my turn.
Yeah.
Okay. Mundane, wholeness, completion, fulfillment, perfect balance, equilibrium, success, satisfaction, triumphant in any undertaking, spiritual, ascension of body or consciousness, transfiguration, triumph, union with the divine, holding the center point of equilibrium between two poles of tension. Lesson, rising above duality, maintaining balance, self-fulfillment, and satisfaction in any area of life. Achieving union with the cosmos by holding your own inner pillar amidst the chaos of the outer world. Misuse, falling out of harmony with the whole, wanting to remain separate, refusal to learn or gain knowledge, lack of personal fulfillment, or the fulfillment of a goal. The number 21 indicates the arrival of a certain state of consciousness, a level of attainment, self-mastery, and high achievement. From here, an even greater cycle of growth will ensue.
Okay, and so then we're back to the Fool where we started, which is the ending of the path, which is super consciousness, where you're really above the world, okay? You've achieved a level of attainment that is beyond this world. Okay, but I want you guys to have an experience of pulling a card before we leave today. So just take your major cards.
Only major card, right?
Just the majors.
Okay.
And your intention for pulling is going to be, you want a message from your higher self in terms of where you are right now in yourself. So shuffle them up and pull one card out.
Do we lay them out in a spread, like fan them out?
No, you're just pulling one card out of your deck from somewhere. You can, if you want to fan them out and pick one, it doesn't matter. If you want to just cut them and pull one, however you want to do it. Now, when you look at this card, I want you to, you can go to the book if you want and look at the interpretation that we read and see what applies to you, what jumps out at you in terms of which aspect of that card might apply to you. Write it down in your notebook. Okay. But initially, you can just hold the card in your hand too, and you can ask it how it makes you feel. Like, how do you feel when you look at the card? You know, is it positive? Is it negative? Is it bring up fear? Does it feel joyous? I mean, what do you get when you look at it? Make a note for yourself. Okay, so after you look at the meanings and you pick out what you think applies, ask it what its final message is to you. Like, what's it trying to tell you? I'll start. Okay, I pulled the Hermit. And what I get from that is I do spend too much time alone. I do need to do more teaching. I do a lot of self-reflection, so I don't have to do, I won't say I never have to do it more. In other words, I need to get a handle on my personal power. I've only just started to teach again after years of doing nothing. Okay, so I feel like it's telling me that, you know, I have knowledge I need to share. And I am a little bit reclusive as a person. Okay. Barb, what'd you get?
The Empress.
Oh, nice.
And the first thing that came to my mind was grandmother.
Yeah, really.
And because I look at her, she's a fulfilled woman. She has her children and grandchildren are the stars in her crown. She has wielded quite a bit of power in the family with whatever that is she's holding, a rod of some kind. And she's dressed very, I think, very casually for a queen, which is what I like to do, is wear a house coat around the house all day long. And she's made herself comfortable. I have a good feeling about her. That's about all I got.
Great. Very good.
Is it? Okay.
Yes, that's great. That's a wonderful card. Yep. Okay, Marcia, how'd you do?
Okay, I pulled the Lovers.
Nice. Okay.
So for me, it is union and sacred union, and the male and female coming together. It's commitment and home and family and harmony. It's what I've been desperately trying to manifest in my life.
Okay. Are you married now?
No.
No. Okay.
I sort of have somebody in my life, but yeah, that's where I'm hoping we go.
Okay. Yeah. That's a great card. Okay. Encouraging card. Okay. Go ahead, Claire.
I pulled the 12, the Hangman, and I read the meaning that we just read. I feel like if I mean, look at my situation, I also feel like I'm in the point of change, but kind of a little bit need to wait for timing. For example, I wanted to relocate, but so it seems like the time is not right. And I also, as for my career, because I'm doing teachings as well, I also feel that I needed to do some change in the way of my teaching. Also, I feel I sacrifice too much because it's very sacrifice with self-love, because I feel I work too much. I need more time for my personal relax and self self do something that can nurture myself instead of work. So I think it's also reflected on this card. I mean, I needed to do some balancing upon this. Also need to waste time to really to see the change I wanted to see. But also I needed to learn from this. I learned from this card. I needed to pave the way first. And when the time is right, I think maybe change will be happening. That's what I learned from this card. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Any questions, you guys, before we close?
One question: when you give a reading, do you use the whole deck, or do you just use the Major Arcana?
I use the whole deck. But if you consider that the major cards are a spiritual path, you can use them for any question you have about yourself. You can meditate with them, because one time I used to keep one under my pillow every night, and I'd sleep with it, but especially that Hierophant, because I used to have a little bit of a negative thought about it because I knew it was dogma. But when I had a meditation about it, it actually took me right up to my higher self, and it was the most beautiful experience. So you can work with these yourself in the different levels. Next week, we're going to go over the minor cards and what they're about. And we'll do some more spreads. We'll do a little bit longer spread using the whole deck next week. Okay.
Tell me, is there a particular card that is more powerful than the rest if in getting in touch with your higher self? For me.
Well, I don't know what you'd have to pull a card and ask what would pull one and ask what will stimulate you to connect with your higher self. See what you get.
Okay.
See what you get just with the majors. Curious.
I have a difficult time trying to find when we're dealing with Major Arcana decks or cards to find the negative in there. I know we have a lot of other cards coming up that offer negativity, and I don't know how to read them. I just get general impressions. But well,
anyway. That's what this class is for. So do that though, Barb, real quick. Pull one and ask what's the card that will be best to help you connect to your higher self. See what you pull.
I got the moon.
So you have to look at the book, see what it says, see what applies. But the high side of the moon is it is a card of enlightenment. Okay, but it deals with emotions.
Yeah, but I have trouble with the moon. I'm telling you, I stay away from my family when there's a full moon.
Okay, so it really means there's unresolved emotions there. It has to do with the water balance in your body as well. Okay.
And I have a problem with that.
Okay, so
I carry too much water.
And that can be part of the problem in terms of overreacting emotionally, or why the moon can be affecting you.
Yeah. Well, I'll look at the cards and read them and get a little more familiar with them, but that helps. I like that idea of pulling a card out and asking a question.
Yeah, you can. So remember, these 22 cards are your spiritual advisors. Okay. Next week, we're going to see how they play out in our everyday life when we go over the minors. Okay.
Yeah.
So next Wednesday, same time, noon to 1:30. If you have any questions, you can email me in between, and I'll answer whatever you need. Okay.
Okay. Goodbye, everybody. See you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.